Laje de Santos is a small, rocky island a couple of hours off the coast of São Paulo in Brazil. It's a small, secret diving spot, mainly only visited by in-the-know Brazilian divers using a handful of local diving companies. Conditions and sightings at the dive site can be variable, but there is a surprising amount of biodiversity. I have met people who've seen manta rays, whales, and even the elusive sunfish here. I've been living in Brazil for nearly 2 years now. I've already visited one of Brazil's most famous diving spots, an island in the north called Fernando de Noronha. But now it was time to try something a little closer to home, a spot that had been recommended to me by several experienced divers. It takes just over an hour to drive to the coast from São Paulo when the traffic's not too bad. It's then a 2-hour boat ride out to the dive site. On the boat we were given coxinha, strong black coffee for breakfast, and after some time we arrived at Laje de Santos. I was diving today with some friends. I knew diving at Santos could be variable, so I made sure I had low expectations for the dive. It's nice even just to get out in the water sometimes. The dive site seemed bare and rocky at first, but once we got down, more and more sea life started appearing. French angelfish were grazing lazily on the rocks, searching for algae and small sea life like sponges and tunicates. They're often found in pairs, and they're very territorial about their patch of seabed. Bright yellow porkfish swam in colourful schools around the rocks. These fish are also known as grunts because of the sound they can make. One common misconception is that it must be quiet under the sea, but if you listen carefully to this video, you'll be able to hear lots of clicking noises from various creatures. It's possible to hear some fish communicating when diving. Clownfish can be especially vocal. This is an American white-spotted filefish. Filefish maneuver carefully with their rear fins to pick algae, little creatures from the rocks. One of the real highlights of the dive was seeing this beautiful butterfly ray. It's unusual to see a ray swimming with alternating fins like this. These long-spined squirrelfish have large eyes to help them see in the dark crevices where they like to hide at night. There was one point where I was filming these fish and my friend signaled to me. We were surprised by a turtle coming out between these two rocks. We were very lucky that day. We managed to see about 20 turtles. While swimming after the turtle, I was amazed by just how many fish were here at Laje de Santos. black and yellow striped fish you can see here are called sergeant majors, and they seem to be extremely populous at just about every warm diving site around the world. There's a little bit of current, as you can see there, where I was pushed through the water. As we went deeper, there were these spectacular moments, looking up into these huge whirling schools of fish above us. Our guide took us on a swim through of this tight cave, which was really hard to navigate with our bulky equipment. We didn't want to injure ourselves on the urchins or harm any sea life. You can see bright orange and pink corals here, which I think are tubastria corals. Most other corals have a symbiotic relationship with a kind of dinoflagellate called zooxanthellae, which lives inside the coral, performs photosynthesis, and provides the coral with nutrition. By contrast, these non-photosynthetic corals here live in dark environments, like this cave, and they rely on catching detritus with their polyps for nutrition. Towards the end of the dive, we encountered great numbers of stingrays. A lot of people are a bit scared of stingrays and think they're dangerous because of the stories around Steve Irwin, but they're actually extremely gentle, graceful creatures. Our second dive started with going through this tunnel in the rock, and as you can see, the current here is really intense. You can see all of the bubbles whizzing past me and getting caught on my camera lens. It's actually more like a kind of surge going back and forth with the waves, and we stay still when the current goes against us, and then we swim when it goes in the right direction. And usually we even surfaced midway through the dive to look through a hole in the rock above us and the sunlight coming down. After we exited the tunnel area, the dive site just completely opened up, and there were these huge schools of fish swimming around us. We seemed to be able to see really far, but at the same time it was a little bit blurry in the distance, and difficult for the camera to pick up everything. This was one of these amazing meditative moments that you get in diving where you're just enveloped by the natural world and you sort of forget about everything else for a moment. These queen angelfish are known for their beautiful coloration. Yet another turtle seemed to just materialize out of the distance here. I was so lucky with the timing of this shot in a moment, where the wave crashes down in unison with the turtle swimming away. very lucky at the end of the dive to just about see in the distance these jackfish with these unusual long trailing fins. So this is my first video like this. I'm planning to make lots more. I'd really appreciate any feedback, and please like and subscribe, as they say. Thanks for watching.